Okay, so let's crack on. I've got the tubes already cut, they're 18 inches long. I've got a backstop there on my bandsaw table. That's going to set the depth that I'm going to cut these. So I'm simply going to mark a line down the middle, or it doesn't really matter, it's just down the side, and mark 4 inches from the end because that's where we're going to start the cuts. The tube I'm using is what they call 1/2 inch gas. I don't know the actual nominal sizes. When you buy it, it's just called 1/2 inch gas. So I'm just cutting up to that line and the depth of the blade. It's about a 1/2 inch cut. There you go. That's fairly nice and even. I wish I could think of something to do with all this swarf. It goes everywhere. So we've got a few. It's taken me about 2 hours to cut all them. Now I've got these 1/8 gas sockets. I'm going to cut all them in half. Back to the saw. These burners that I'm making are actually for a thermoplastic laying machine. They're what puts the white lines on the road, and it's the pedestrian pushed machine that these go in the bottom of to keep the plastic warm. Comes out about, I don't know, 180, 200 degrees, something like that, out the main machine into the pram. And these burners just keep it warm enough to be able to be applied. The way that bandsaw blade is jinking about, I've got a feeling that's going to break shortly. They don't seem to last very long, these blades. They break before they wear out. That's them all cut. Now I'm just going to put a bit of hacksaw blade in the last cut. Now that's got 2 reasons for that. One is I can get it level so that I can keep the cuts in a level plane, and secondly it will help stop the last cut from closing up while I'm doing this, squeezing the end up. See, that's bound up nice and tight on that now, so I'm going to have to just ease it open a bit to get that blade out. And as you can see there, it's closed up quite a bit. So I've got to do that to all of them. Then we're going to put the half pieces of socket, just using a bit of threaded bar as a guide. A, it's easier to hold, and B, it's easier on the eye to see whether it's upright or not. So I can check whether it's in the right, nice and straight. Just don't use much pressure in these. There's about maximum of about 10 psi runs through these on the gas. That's got that in. I'll do a few more of them. Now these are the brackets that hold it into the machine. These are laser cut, 1/4 inch thick, with 6mm clearance holes in, and they will bolt into the bottom of the machine. That's why that bit was squashed. If it's not squashed, it's extremely difficult to get the bolts in. In fact, it's impossible to get the bolts in if you leave it to its original size. I suppose we could have designed it differently, made the bracket wider, but years ago we used to squash the whole tube up all the way along and then cut slots in it, but we discovered it wasn't necessary. Works just as well without squashing it, and you don't get the risk of it splitting down the seam, which sometimes used to happen. That's got that on there. Nothing fancy, but it's got it. Hopefully won't leak. I'll do another 18 of them. And just to make sure that the gas fittings go in alright, because they're obviously only brass, I'm just going to run the 8th tap through these. Just take out any muck or any distortion might have occurred during welding. Dead handy, these little cordless drills, especially with the screwdriver facility. Just the same thing from another angle. Done. Right, so now we've just got to put an air hole in, because we have in that socket that I've just tapped out, we have a fitting with a jet, and obviously you need some air, so I'm just going to put an air hole in the bottom. The size we're going to use, 27/64. Don't ask me why, but it's the size that works. Now you might wonder why the first 4 inches hasn't got any slots. The reason for that is it's too close to the jet and they won't light. We've tried it and found that the optimum length is as we've got it. The whole thing is 18 inches long. First 4 inches are not cut. So let's see if we can light one up. Now I haven't got the proper jet, so it's not as fierce as it should be. The jet's a bit small, this one, but you get the idea. That sits underneath the machine, just keeps the thermoplastic nice and warm. Simple as that. I suppose you could adapt this and use it for all sorts of other things. So there you go. Very simple job. And I'm glad I got a bandsaw, because we used to cut those all by hand with a hacksaw. And that's the machine that it goes in. It bolts in just below that hole at the bottom. There you go. So thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.